NBA TV and you, the fan, are constructing the perfect NBA player. Using skill sets and attributes for current players narrowed down through a survey in which GMs and head coaches have weighed in, here are the choices for this week's category. Who plays the best defense in the NBA? Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert, one of the elite shot blockers in this game, gets it done.
Draymond Green.
Wow, great defense from Draymond Green. Draymond Green has been a one-man defensive team by himself.
Kawhi Leonard.
Blocked by Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard, his hands are so big and he's good at moving his feet.
Now it's up to you to vote for your choice right now on Twitter and help us build the perfect player.
Vote on the NBA TV Twitter page. Your choices. Lots of defensive players of the year here. Rudy Gobert, Draymond Green, two-time defensive player of the year, Kawhi Leonard. And your choice would be?
My choice would be Draymond Green because you're trying to pick a guy who can guard multiple positions, also can rebound strong enough, also can man the paint, also vocal. I think Kawhi Leonard is the best wing defender. I think Gobert is one of the best at the center spot. But for me, a guy can guard 1 through 5, not better than Kawhi with the 2s and 3s. But then when you start talking about the 4s and 5s and also keeping everybody on your team accountable, I'm going with Draymond Green.
Yeah, I think Kawhi has shown us that he's the best defender in a pressure, individual man-on-man defender.
One of those great wing scorers out there.
Yes, but that was in a very different light in San Antonio when he had Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and when they were a different team. I think he's expanded his defensive range now at this stage of his career and doesn't get as much credit for it, strangely enough, as he once did. He was seen as a much more feared defender in a Spurs uniform than he's been in Toronto, but he's been really, really good defensively. I think his skill set, he's maybe not as versatile in terms of the number of positions he could guard defensively, but I would like to have his skill set if I'm locked into a series and I got to have one guy lock up another great player. I'd go with Kawhi.
I'm probably going with Kawhi for that particular reason, particularly in a playoff setting, but I'll throw a couple more names who didn't make the cut out there. Paul George. And Giannis Antetokounmpo is currently #1 in the NBA in terms of defensive rating and is built like a velociraptor. So the arms go out about 12 feet everywhere.
I think one other guy we forget about in this conversation always is Drew Holiday. He's to me, the best on-ball perimeter backcourt defender in the league right now. And in an era when everybody's shooting the way guys are shooting, he'd be a very handy defender to have around on your roster. But you're right. Giannis should probably be in this conversation. No offense to Rudy Gobert, who's been fantastic and is a rim protector deluxe. But Giannis is one of those guys who can guard. I would imagine he could guard all 5 spots if need be in a given situation.
Also like Marcus Smart. He won't be up there with all these guys, but I love what he does, the toughness he brings, guarding 1 through 4. He takes those challenges. But I'm with you with Giannis and Paul George. Yeah. And nothing against Gobert, but we're talking about picking a defensive skill set. Yeah. He blocks shots.
I would say this about Gobert. He does a little more than block shots, but that's his primary job, right? And you see the percentages of guys as they get near the rim against Utah when he's in the game, and they go drastically down. So maybe he's a little more of an old-school defender, the way we used to think of guys who were rim protectors. But he's as good as it gets.
But he's doing nothing when I'm stretching the floor and I got guys shooting threes. His impact can be minimized.
Not as switchable. You can take him out away from the rim. That's a different story.
And I don't see his impact in the playoffs. That's the one thing next I want to see him. And it's not just blocking shots. That's when we're talking about defense. You got to be a guy that does more than just block shots when you start picking a perfect defensive player.